Now, Howard, you brought up something a few minutes ago, and you brought up the 50-win marker of teams who are going to win 50 games. That's a championship marker. You said 8 teams are on pace to do that. 3 teams are in the Eastern Conference, a lot more are in the West, and there's going to be a few more knocking on the door, even teams that we're not even sure if that are that good. I say that to say, Howard, there was a point a couple of years ago where we felt like the balance of power shifted from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference ahead of almost 2 whole decades. And then it seemed like the Eastern Conference was getting its legs underneath them, and we were going to see at least like the scales being balanced. Now it seems clear, even if you go and just look at the play-in, the quality of the teams in the play-in in both conferences, there's a difference. There's a difference at the top and there's a difference at the bottom. Why is the East not good this year? Does it just come down to injuries, or is it just the West has drafted better, made more bold moves? Because you don't see Oklahoma City and Minnesota coming like the way that they've been coming this year. Like, what is that? Because it seems like the Western Conference playoffs is going to be really compelling, and most people seem to think that the Boston Celtics are going to run through the East, and maybe they are, but I don't know how good they are or how great they are, even though whatever the numbers say.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, our discussion would be a little bit different if Embiid were healthy, right? Because even if we thought Boston, what's that? Yeah, I mean, because the Sixers would be among the teams on a 50-win pace at minimum. At minimum, we'd be saying there's 4 teams in the East, potentially 5. Again, the Knicks are knocking on the door; they might make it. But we would have 4 teams for sure winning 50 plus in the East if Embiid had stayed healthy. It would help a little bit, but not to the extent that you're talking about, where it's like, okay, there's 6 50-win teams in the West, likely. The play-in group in the West is better than the play-in group in the East. And the why and the how has always been weird. Like, there were a number of stories written in like the mid 2000s to early 2010s about like, all right, it's been like 20 freaking years. Like, why is this? And people have tried every which way to analyze this as to why the West is historically or in modern times consistently better. I don't know that there's any one reason. But it's interesting just to like even look at the teams that are at the top of the West right now. Like, all right, the Clippers pulled Paul George out of Oklahoma, but he was previously in Indiana for most of his career. That's the team that drafted him, right? So you have the typical like West or East to West shift there. Kawhi started in the West, wins a championship in Toronto, but oh no, Clippers got him. He's, so the James Harden again started in the West, went to Sixers for a little bit. He's in the
Brooklyn.
In the West
You forgot about the Brooklyn detour. Was in Brooklyn.
The Brooklyn detour, right? Yes, I conveniently forgot about. You know what's really weird about that? Because that was still during COVID, and I didn't see any of those games in person. I'm not sure if I ever saw. I must have been at least one James Harden game in Brooklyn in my backyard. That phase of the NBA is forever going to be kind of a blur to me. Also, just Harden was here for like 5 minutes. But a lot of talent, high-level talent, and some of these are older guys, right, have just drifted westward, right?
Kyrie and Kevin Durant were in Brooklyn, and now they are...
Now in the West.
Not in the West.
All of that's part of it, but why we've got a consistent trend over like 30 years now, it's a combination of everything, right? It's, ownership, it's GMs, it's draft, it's... Some of it may be weather too. Like, by the way, like the Clippers didn't used to be a destination at all. They were a freaking laughing stock, but now they're a place that it's like, oh, I'd really love to play in LA. Well, I can't get to the Lakers. I'll go to the Clippers. Before you'd be like, I can't get to the Lakers. No, we're not having that conversation. Send me to Memphis. There was. Did not mean for Memphis to catch a stray there.
I've never heard those words before. Send me to Memphis. But
the Clippers are a destination now, and the Warriors, like my beloved Bay Area where I grew up, like the Warriors were never a destination. They were a terrible franchise for the longest time, and the weather in the Bay Area not quite as nice as in LA. I know from having lived in both places for a long time. But these are places that are destinations that weren't for a long time. And I think that that's part of this too, is like, if you are, whether you're an all-star or the tier right below that, those are draws. Those are places you want to go. And they weren't, not all of them were at times. So I don't know. It's a strange thing. It is a strange thing, and I'll be curious to see, like, as some of our stars age out, right? Like, how much more runway do Durant, Steph, and LeBron have? And they're all in the West right now. And what are those teams once those guys have retired? And is that the moment where maybe it does shift more east? Or does it not, because Denver's still got a long runway and the Thunder have a really long runway and Minnesota's got a runway, you know, but the Clippers too. I should put the Clippers in that same conversation, right? Between all the Clippers stars, Suns, Lakers, Warriors, that's 4 teams where you can see like the end is near.
Yes. I mean, put it like this. And for all of those things, 2 quick points. For all those things that we say about the quality of the teams, the West play-in teams right now, Dallas, Phoenix, Lakers, Warriors. In the East, Pacers, Heat, Bulls, and Atlanta. The team that'll get the best chance to get to the finals is not a team in the West. It's the damned Miami Heat. Why? Because I've seen it, and also they've had a lot of man games lost to injury this year. I think it's like some over like 200 man games lost, and I think Oklahoma City has the fewest man games lost to injury. They've been abnormally healthy, but young teams are usually healthy because, you know, they're younger. And secondarily, I thought about this because how you were on the beat covering the Lakers in 2001. And I think that was the last time, or maybe it's the most notable time. I think there were 6 teams that won 50-plus games in the Western Conference in the regular season. I feel like it was 6 teams. And maybe 1 team won 50-plus in the East. Maybe it was 2. Maybe it was Milwaukee and Philly. And that was the year the Lakers decided, we're not going to lose a game in the playoffs. That's when they ran through 50-win Sacramento. They blew the doors off of Tim Duncan and the 60-plus win Spurs. Like, that Lakers team, what might have been the greatest single-season team I've ever seen in my freaking life. And that was a year where 6 teams won 50-plus games in the Western Conference. And I was a junior in high school.
You're just throwing that in there to make me feel old. Thanks, Vinny. I appreciate that. That was really gratuitous. And
sorry about that. Sorry about that.